everyone, Dola here from Project Bear, and today I want to talk about what not to say to someone who is grieving the loss of their child. And I've broken it down into three main categories of things that people typically say to someone who is grieving, whether it's the loss of a baby or a spouse or a sibling or whoever. And there's three main categories, but there's a lot of things that go into one of those categories. And the first category is all of the cliche, including religious cliches like, oh, God knows what he's doing, everything happens for a reason, they're in a better place, so on and so on. Cliches are not helpful. They may be true, maybe. They're cliches probably for a reason, but they are not helpful. They're not going to help anyone get over the loss that they are grieving. And in fact, they can be hurtful. So for instance, one of the things that I truly believe is that everything happens for a reason. But when my sons Jeremiah and Vincent passed away, that wasn't what I wanted to hear. That doesn't help me in the moment get over the grief or deal with the grief. Doesn't make me feel any better, because in that moment you can't see the reason, and not everybody believes that everything happens for a reason. So telling someone that doesn't believe that things happen for a reason, that everything happens for a reason, is like a slap in the face. So before you say a cliche, ask yourself, does this actually help? Or is it only making myself feel better by actually saying something? Chances are it's the latter, and it does not need to be said. The second thing is, I can't imagine if that happened to me. I can't imagine what you're going through. And that may seem like you're trying to be empathetic to the person, but again, it's like a slap in the face saying, oh, if it happened to me, I don't know how I would live. Well, when you've lost a baby, you literally have no choice but to live. You have to deal with it. It's not something that you can just say, oh, well, I'm not going to deal with this. It's over. No, it is something that's going to follow you for the rest of your life. And having somebody else tell you that they can't imagine what that's like, in the moment, that's not helpful. We know that you can't imagine what it is like to lose a baby unless you've lost a baby. But we don't need to be reminded of that. The third thing is anything that starts with the words "at least." You may think that you're helping the person feel better because, oh, well, it could be worse. But actually, in that moment, there is nothing else that can be worse than the fact that they've lost their baby. Doesn't matter if you say, well, at least you can have more kids. You don't know that. Or at least you have other kids at home. So they've lost their baby. What does that do? At least basically minimizes whatever the loss they've had and tries to make them feel better by saying, well, other people have it worse. And that's just not helpful at all. It's very hurtful when people say things like that. So, cliche, I can't imagine, and at least. Stay away from those three things. So what can you say then to someone who has lost a baby? I'm sorry. I'm here if you need me. Tell me about your baby. I'm thinking of you today. One other thing you can say, instead of saying, what can I do to support you? Actually give them something specific that you can do. So if you know they have children that you're close with, offer to take the children out to dinner or to the park or to pick them up from school or help them with their homework. Those little things that can really overwhelm someone who's grieving. Maybe you are close enough with a bunch of people, maybe from church or the neighborhood or a family or friend group, and you want to organize a meal train for them. That's an amazing thing to do. That helps them. They don't have to worry about dinner, and it lets them know by your actions that you actually care about them. One other thing that you can do to help someone who is grieving the loss of a baby is to acknowledge, even later on, that the baby existed by letting them know that you're thinking about them around holidays, around anniversaries. That means the world to a grieving parent, and it doesn't matter how long it's been. It has been 11 years since Vincent passed away and 12 years since Jeremiah passed away. And it still means the world to me when someone says they are thinking about me either on April 17th or around June 2nd to the 15th. It means the world to me when someone acknowledges my sons and that they existed even after it's been a decade. One of the reasons why I think people shy away from reminding someone about their loss, again, could be loss of a parent, loss of a spouse, loss of a sibling, loss of a baby. They're afraid that they're going to make them sad or bring it up all again. But newsflash, someone who's lost a baby, they haven't forgotten that they've lost a baby. It's always in the back of their mind. So you bringing that up in some way by saying, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about you today, how are you doing? Whatever it may be, that lets them know they're not alone. It doesn't remind them of their loss. And yeah, they may cry a little or a lot, because it is sad when you've lost someone, when you've lost a baby. It's sad. It's sad when it first happens, and it's sad over a decade later, over 2 decades later. But you letting them know that you remember, that you acknowledge that their baby existed, and that you are there in their grief with them means the world to a grieving parent. And one other thing to remember is a lot of the things that we try to say, whether they're cliches or at least or whatever, they're said to try to make the person feel better, to try to get past all of the uncomfortable sadness and sorrow and grief. But that's not the way grief works. You need to go through it to heal. And the best way to help someone is to be with them in their grief. Help them carry their grief. Don't just try to say things to make them feel better more quickly. Grief isn't something that you need to fix. You live with it, you grow with it. It becomes a part of you, but healing is possible. But trying to say a bunch of things to make that healing happen more quickly is because we're uncomfortable with how someone's grieving. That's never helpful, and in fact, that can be very hurtful. So, if you have any other suggestions on what to say or what not to say, or what to do and what not to do when someone has lost a baby, drop them down in the comments below. And until next time, have a blessed day. Trust is without borders. I sat on it.